step up? Okay. Welcome, everybody. This meeting of the Centennial School Board is called to order at 6:34 p.m. On March 13th, 2024, and a quorum is present. Welcome, everyone. We're excited to see another room full of folks and get to hear a little bit about what you've got to share with us today. We've got a few things before we get there. First of all, I'd love to get an approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. All right. It's an exciting month for us here for a number of reasons. We've celebrated some of our staff, and now we've got a Music in the Schools appreciation written by our own Director Andrews. And so at this point, I'd love to turn the mic over to Director Andrews to read our Music in Schools proclamation.
Music in Our Schools Month. Whereas March has been officially designated by the National Association for Music Education as Music in Our Schools Month, encouraging communities across the nation to focus on music education, and whereas music education is a part of a well-rounded education for every student, bringing joy and belonging to participants, and whereas the purpose of this proclamation is to raise awareness of the lasting positive impact of music education on the academic, personal, and professional growth of our students, and whereas music education shapes the way our students understand themselves and the world around them, allowing for a deep engagement with learning, and whereas Music in Our Schools Month reminds us that school is where all children should have access to music, and whereas music educators, students, and staff throughout Centennial School District demonstrate the importance of quality music education programs to the lives of young people, and whereas the Centennial School Board joins our music students, educators, and communities in celebrating the power of music education, now, therefore, we, the Centennial School Board, do hereby proclaim March as Music in Our Schools Month and encourage all citizens to celebrate and acknowledge every day, but especially in March, that music education is an essential part of every student's well-rounded education.
Thank you very much, Director Andrews. Excellent. So the previous meeting minutes have been distributed in board book. Are there any corrections or amendments needed to the minutes?
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
The minutes are filed as presented. Thank you. Next up is our public forum. Did we have anyone come for public forum or anything in today? Okay, thank you very much. Another reminder to our public that we would love to hear from you. If you have something to say or share with us, please look us up on the website and figure out how to comment. We'd love to hear from you. All right, next up we've got reports. Our student report. Today, let's see, can I turn your thing? I just want to make sure.
Hello.
Hi, are you ready?
I am.
Go ahead.
Okay. Let me see. Okay. I'm Lashmi. As you would know, today we're missing Marisol. She is currently at dance practice, so unfortunately she couldn't make it tonight. But I am here to represent the high school, and let's get started. So speaking of dance, Marisol and her high C team placed second in the pom at Metro. So we would congratulate them, and then as well as our cheer team placing second at the OCAA championships. And then, we just had spring formal this weekend, and we had about 150 plus in attendance. It's not our highest, but we had to raise our prices up a bit just so we can profit a little more for prom coming up. And let's see if I can get this video. I don't know if you oh no, you can't hear it, but it was fun. It was fun. Oh. And then I have some exciting news. Some stuff we can look forward these past couple months is our April assembly. We are having an anti-bullying BMX assembly. So that time, us student council won't have to worry as much because we usually take charge of the assemblies. But this time, we're leaving it up to the anti-bullying program that we have coming up here. And then in May, we have our Eagle Fest, and we've actually done this in the past, but we haven't been doing it for these past couple years, so we're just now getting it started. This will happen during May 28th to June 1st. May 28th is a freshman versus sophomore kickball game. May 29th is a powder tough game, which is like a volleyball junior versus senior game. May 30th is a student versus staff basketball game. And then on Friday, it is May 31st, a Powder Puff junior versus senior flag football game. And then June 1st is prom. So this will all be happening in 1 week. And we would encourage you guys to come out and support because I think they are all going to be free. And on May 31st, we're having a tailgater, kind of like homecoming, but it's like where our athletic teams are going to have booths that will sell stuff during our powder puff game. So that's that. And then I think that's it. Not much, but that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lakshmi. Are all those events going to be taking place in the evening or during the school day?
Should be evening. I'll get
Excellent.
those back to you.
Cool. Thank you. That's exciting. All right. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Superintendent Owens to introduce our next guest.
Great. Thank you so much, Chair Solowski. So we have a packed house tonight because we have the Patrick Lynch Lions here to present their school report led by Principal Leslie Van Cleek. This will be an exciting report for me as a Lynchview alumni to be able to hear the Patrick Lynch update. So appreciate the opportunity to be able to introduce Principal Leslie Van Cleek, who will be sharing with us this evening. And our resident technical support, either Denise or Albert, could help if needed.
Awkward silence now.
What's that? It's that air purifier filter that has 4 controls, and I put it on 2, not 4.
Director Stanley, no joke.
No kidding. This this is where I need to beef up my stand-up routine.
You're all going to have to meet outside. The building is starting tomorrow.
It's gonna be toasty. All right, again, it is my pleasure to welcome Patrick Lynch Principal Leslie Van Cleek.
Sorry about that. I don't have much of a voice. I apologize. Suddenly I don't know how to use technology.
It's the spotlight.
Happens to the best of us.
Yep.
It wouldn't be a board meeting if we didn't have technical difficulties. It's
Right.
par for the course.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, well, thank you for having us. I'm Leslie, I'm the principal, and a whole bunch of fans, apparently, who I really appreciate coming. I'm mostly going to be relatively informal, because I think you've had several of these already. The first thing I just want to share is a little bit of a snapshot of who we are, and I chose these photos kind of specifically to represent some of the things that are important to us. And so on the top left corner are some of our kindergartners, and we have a pretty, since about the middle of last year, well, all the time, we love them all the time, but we have a pretty significant focus on K-1 literacy. We've done some, not me specifically, but we have done some pretty targeted support around K-1 literacy. In the middle is some staff and their children at a family event. And one of the things that I have that's a value of mine that is shared by my staff is to, as much as possible, include staff and their families with students and their families, so that it becomes a whole entire community where people get to know each other for who they are, not just teachers, students, and have less of a divide. So as often as possible, I am like open and willing and happy to have staff bring their families to any event, or if they need to come by school for something else, we have a pretty open door policy. Up in the upper right hand corner is one of our families who is a recent arriver family to the United States. We have 52 students this year who are considered recent arriver English learners. And that means that they have had a really short time in the United States, and we are often, not every time, their first school experience. And so that's one of our families who came to our winter event. On the bottom left is just a 4th grade class celebrating a win at an assembly for following some of our take cares, so taking care of themselves and each other at the assembly. And on the bottom right is some of our staff serving at our winter breakfast. And just one of the things we're trying to do with family events is not have it be, you know, essentially like the picture of a staff on one side of a table and families on another side of a table with a divide. We try to do things together, and we're working on it. It takes some practice to like get rid of that nervousness around mingling, but we're working on it. And our video made by the very helpful Albert.
Hi, welcome to Patrick Lynch. I'm Leslie Van Cleek, the principal. I'm so proud to serve this community every day. We have an incredible staff, supportive family.
I need to mute myself, right?
Yeah. Just your computer.
Yeah. No. Oh my gosh, I don't know how to use technology today. I'm so sorry.
Go out of the screen share,
Oh, okay.
and then when you go back in and you hit share screen,
Mm-hmm.
hit the button that says optimize sound or whatever. If that makes sense.
Yep.
And then I think you use your own computer, which is way through the room's audio.
Okay.
Hi, welcome to Patrick Lynch. I'm Leslie Van Cleek, the principal. I'm so proud to serve this community every day. We have an incredible staff,
according to our February data, our academic scores are pretty flat from the fall, except for a few bright spots in K1, reading and reading. And not that they are all where we want them to be, but the growth is pretty, it stands out. And then, except for our fifth graders and our first graders, the percentage of students who we want to be coming to school 90% of the time or more has dropped since the fall, which the same thing happened last year, and it's not at our goal. And then our student perception data leads to significant improvement to meet our goals. And we realized, as we discussed it, both as a small team and as a whole staff, we're not 100% sure if we think it means what they think it means. So we're going to spend some time talking to students and asking them questions about their responses to third and fifth graders. So teachers have targeted some students for some of us as a team to talk to and get more information. So when I answer the question, students at my school, respect one another in a negative way, do I mean because I'm 8 and someone was jerked me that morning at recess? Or do I mean broadly? And then what does that mean? What does that look like? Because I'm 51, it doesn't mean the same thing to me as a 9-year-old necessarily. So before we can tackle it, we want to know a little bit more about what they mean on some of the questions. The two instructional practices that we are working on are ones that I'm assuming you've seen because we probably spent so much time with the strategic plan. But we're working towards the short and long-term goals related to engaging high-level, rigorous academics that also meet the needs of every child in the world. And that's a really big lift, and that's what we're working on all the time. We had a staff meeting this morning, we were talking about our data, and one of the things that I said is that this year's improvement plan is next year's improvement plan and next year's improvement plan. Like, we're not, I have no plans to come in and say, actually, scrap that and do something else. Like, these are long-term goals. And then the second strategy is something that we have a lot of learning to do as a team, and that's using collaboration time more effectively to support student learning. And right now we're grappling with 2 new curriculums. I'm not sure when this year the teachers are getting kind of their muscle memory around the curriculum as a tool rather than the curriculum as the planning guide. So we're working on shifting away from that. The strategies that we're working on emphasizing this year are what kind of is considered no opting out, meaning that teachers, students, how to stay engaged if they don't understand, and holding them accountable to being a part of the class. So if I was to ask a question and you don't know the answer, I'm still going to let you know that here's some tools you can use to find out the answer, and I'm going to come back to you. You're not off the hook. As much as I love you, you're not off the hook. And that is a goal that the walkthrough data that we're doing is showing us that we're doing pretty well at. Teachers are really invested in engagement of students. The second strategy is that we keep wanting to offer our students more opportunities to themselves take the material and play with it and learn it and stretch it out rather than us just delivering information to them. And we have some learning to do in that area for sure. We have some fabulous community partners. Our current community partner for Sun and Food Pantry and all of the other things that they bring with us to the County is Salt Enhancement Incorporated, which is a culturally specific organization. We have a pretty incredible Sun site manager. She's also a parent in the community. And she's brought a lot of structure to Sun and a lot of kind of exciting stuff to do. She stretches the dollars pretty far. And she's a great partner of mine. We work together really closely. They also provide family resources with, there's some fun tools. Not too quiet. there's some funds from Multnomah County that can be distributed to families, and they work together with our counselor, our bilingual liaison, and sometimes one of the social workers to figure out how to distribute funds to families who need us, and then point them to other resources that we might not have. We have a Trillium mental health therapist on site a couple days a week who works with kids and families, and we love that service because it's a year-round service for families. We have a Multnomah County mental health provider who is, she's pretty fabulous as well, but they stop in the summer and have to restart in the fall. We work with Growing Gardens, and our garden teacher is pretty outstanding. That's a substitute garden teacher, actually, because our garden teacher had a baby. She'll be back soon. And we are starting together with Amanda, one of the elementary social workers, to partner with Safe Routes to School. Our footprint of Patrick Lynch is pretty small. So we have a lot of kids who live like less than a mile away and are figuring out how to navigate getting to school. Because we have some little kids who live like 0.9 miles away. And so Amanda is helping us partner with Safe Routes to actually work on what are some of those routes, and we have a grant to help a family, like a parent in the community, be a walker to school who like has like a vest and like a stop sign and can like bring a bunch of kids to school. We also have the Shadow Project who oversees and supports us with the sensory space, and they send us reading mentors once a week, and that's pretty fabulous. The things that we feel pretty proud about right now that have made some significant growth on this year is some collaborative work around what we call the take cares. And so our school rules is not the right word, but it's what I can think of right now is are to take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of the school. And we celebrate students who get nominated by staff members who have gone out of their way to do one or more of those things in the last month. And they get a certificate, which is apparently the best thing ever. And they get their picture on the wall. And it seems small, but it's really big. And they really like it. And so those are some of our recent recipients. And then we have really collectively decided and we're going to keep working on it, what responsive classroom practices do we all agree to do? And so this is a picture of what a morning meeting might look like. And older kids don't crowd around on the carpet like that for their morning meeting. They do more of a circle. But morning meeting, quiet time after lunch, and closing circle at the end of the day. And those things that we are collectively all doing and all agree on, along with some other responsive classroom practices, are moves that we've made this year that kind of give us more structure. As a new principal, I was just a little unsure, and this year we've been a lot more structured in our plans. And that's it. That's where we are right now.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you coming and sharing. Would you like to introduce your staff?
Oh,
or
sure.
Would your staff like to introduce themselves, perchance?
I'll do it. Do you want me to do it? Over here, closest to Noah, we have Stacy Page, our school counselor. Chloe Marr, kindergarten teacher. Rebecca Liu, first grade teacher. Christina Brown, kindergarten teacher. The one with the poster falling out of the book in the video. She was happy that made the video. Alex Beck is our librarian. Carol Ann Rasmussen is an educational assistant. Christy Richards and Sarah Sipple are our Title I teachers. This is like tighter than an airplane.
Yeah.
I have Stephanie Cheragino, who's a first grade teacher. Natalie Mastavoy, who is an ELL assistant and a program assistant and a fantastic Russian interpreter that we keep to ourselves. Lisa Atkinson is an educational assistant in special education. Joan Callahan's a program assistant who teaches reading. Teresa Dalglish is a second grade teacher. And Alexa Andis is all the things right now, but right this very second, she is the classroom teacher in the supported behavior classroom. Did I get everybody?
You deserve a prize. That was great. Thank you. Welcome all to the board meeting. I just want to thank you for your work. The love for your community is really present. I could see in the video, as the video was playing, I kept panning back to see your faces, and they were just lighting up seeing the kids and the community on the screen. And so that just speaks volumes to me. I think that what you're doing with relationship building between the staff and the families is really going to build to the community that you're looking to build. And it does take time. But when families can see staff with their own children, they can see them as people too, and not just like, like on the other side of an email, right? And so I'm just really impressed with the relationship building that you guys are doing. At this point, I'd love to open it to anybody else that would on the board that would like to add any comments.
I'd just like to know, obviously, your space is welcoming and you can see, right? So what do you think are barriers for our students to attend? And, it's not a blame game, it's an understanding game, right? And helping students come, right? So what are some of those strategies that you look for or things that you can support?
We're trying to figure out right now a little bit more about the patterns. And one of the things that we know for sure is a barrier for a lot of our youngest students, like our K-1-2, is getting to school, transportation. Because we have a pretty high population of families who don't have cars, and who live, what might be like a safe, comfortable walk for one of us on a sunny day, but isn't great when you're 5 and it's raining and your mom maybe worked overnight. So transportation, we're learning from families, is pretty significant. We also have some of our youngest students that I learned kind of through my kindergarten teachers, that in kindergarten in particular, there is a lack of understanding that we're working to correct about kindergarten being important, and actually once you're enrolled, it's mandatory. So the idea that kindergarten is sort of like when you can make it. So we're working to correct that understanding. There's some norms that kind of have happened with some families, like they don't really totally realize how much school their kids have missed. So when we use a synergy report that prints out like a graph, like your student versus other 4th graders, it's a little jarring to some families. And then in the previous district that I worked at too, we have not figured out how to get kids back to the rhythm of school since the pandemic, which is not fine, but it's something that we are learning from some of our families. But the hardest thing for us, I think, to correct ourselves is transportation.
Anyone else? Please.
Thank you very much. It's been wonderful to hear about Patrick Lynch. We don't hear too much about it, but we will be there tomorrow for the ribbon cutting at the
Yes.
gym, so that's going to be a big deal. And I was going to ask something akin to what Pam had asked about attendance. It must be difficult to try to teach and move an entire class forward when attendance is erratic.
What's interesting is on any sort of given month or day, about 96% of our kids are there. Like, so in the moment in front of you, other than kind of extreme days where, there's 8 first graders that are all gone, it can feel like, oh, most of my kids are here. But then when we look at individual students and then we're asking ourselves questions about their progress, and then we look at their attendance, it can feel really discouraging, and it can feel like pretty overwhelming. And so we're trying to, instead of just staring at each other and being like, oh, attendance, we're trying to kind of make some plans and see what are some like really just like linear things that we can do, to prevent, low attendance, and then to respond. And right now we're doing a little bit of putting out fires at the highest levels rather than figuring out how to boost everyone. We have not cracked that code yet.
Good luck.
Yeah, the challenge there of getting everybody, one of your goals being, like everybody is engaged in the classroom at the same time, but when people have missed days, and I can't even imagine how challenging that must be. So thank you all for your dedication to our kiddos.
Yeah, the teachers are like magicians.
Yeah.
They figure out a way every day to like loop in the kid that hasn't been there in a while. And The people that I work with do such an amazing job with welcoming kids, even if they haven't seen them in a while. There's not like, oh my gosh, where have you been? We don't do that.
Yeah.
And I have never seen anyone like shame or a kid or be like, you're so behind. Like, it's just like, yay, I'm so glad you're here. Let's go.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you. Would you like to share?
Yeah, nice job, first of all. Well represented. I think something like a strategic plan is a large document to try to digest. And so the ability to translate that to school goals and then to translate that to tangible actions that are bite-sized and able to be done. You spoke to the no opt-out and other things. Those are specific strategies. I appreciated the idea that there's continuity with plans, that you're going to see it through and not just take the flavor of the day. What really stood out to me was the humanizing aspect, and this is to echo Chair Solowski, and that was reflected in multiple aspects of the presentation in terms of how staff interact with families, and even the first slide where you showed demographics, but not with data points and bullet points, but you showed pictures of families that represents. And so that to me spoke volumes just in terms of how you and the Patrick Lynch staff see your work and incorporate humanity into the work, and not just seeing data and numbers and figures on spreadsheets and pages, but actual humans that have different needs, and working the best that you can to differentiate and address those needs. So that's really appreciated. So I'll leave it there.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Patrick Lynch.
Thank you.
At this point, we're going to go ahead and take about an 8-minute break. So we'll reconvene at 7:18. Thank you very much. Welcome back. The board meeting is back in session. At this point, our next report involves strategic plan, and so I'd like to turn it over to Superintendent Owens to introduce.
All right, thank you, Chair Solowski. So in the previous report you saw with Patrick Lynch, there was a reference to a February work session, and that represents a glance at mid-year data that was collected for that specific school and what the school intends to do based on what that data reflected. And so we're going to carry that theme forward into this presentation as it relates to looking at mid-year data at the district level. So that will be a portion of what is talked about tonight, as well as looking at excellence targets that are established. As we implement Roadmap 27, there are things that we are continuing to establish, and excellence targets is one of those. I will go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Katsuda, who will introduce Lauren Klafke, and both of them will present this evening on what excellence targets are and what some of the mid-year data has reflected.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Yeah, it's going on though.
Has Lauren been able to log in? Lauren's on. Okay. I don't know that we see her on the screen just yet, but I will introduce her, and hopefully that'll warm up the equipment. She'll be there in a second. My pleasure to introduce Lauren Klafke, a friendly and familiar face to our strategic planning process in the district. She has been working hard with a number of cabinet members, Director Wright and Callahan and I, in determining some excellence targets with some feedback from building level administrators as well. I'm not sure if she's logged on yet. Yeah, she's.
This isn't what we're seeing.
Okay, okay, great. So, yep. Oh, excellent. Okay, thank you. All right, so I want to hand it over to Lauren to start us off with the beginning and description of what they are and what they mean for our plan. Welcome. Hold on, Lauren. We're getting the audio to work here. Can you test the audio, Lauren? See if we can hear you. Nope. Thank you for your patience.